Hello, ladies. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited that you are here and listening. And in this chat, I want to talk about borrowed confidence. I am not one to believe that there is any one thing that we can buy that will help us feel the type of confidence or embody the type of confidence that we want for a length of time. I mean, you can go buy a dress or, some funky shoes or whatever and feel confident in a certain way for a certain amount of time. But there really isn't anything, in my opinion, that we can buy, any object that we can buy and wear and put on or carry in our pocket that will allow us to walk out the confidence that we want to have for a lifetime. And while I don't think that confidence can be bought, I do believe that it can be borrowed. And that's why it's so important that as women, we go through the journeys that we're all on to growing and improving and elevating our confidence. Because as we show up as the confident women that we are becoming, we hold space for other women to do the same thing. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Confident Women Glow. I'm Mo James, and this is the podcast where we dive into self-discovery, self-trust, and self-expression to help you create a life that's true to who you really are. I believe that confidence isn't just a mindset. It's a practice. It's about showing up boldly even when life feels messy and owning your journey every step of the way. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into this episode. Can we take a moment to talk about reflection and growth? I know this journey of self-discovery, self-trust, and self-expression isn't always easy, but having the right tools makes all the difference. And that's why I created the Inner Strength Journal. This isn't just another journal. It's a space for you to connect with your thoughts, honor your emotions, and design your masterpiece life one page at a time. Each prompt in this journal is carefully crafted to help you dig deeper into what matters most to you, to build your confidence, and to take aligned action. So, if you're ready to carve out intentional time for yourself and start designing a life that feels true to who you are, grab your copy of the Inner Strength Journal today. Head over to innerstrengthjournal.com to order yours now. Your journey deserves this space. So I want to tell you a quick story about my early time in the military. And I talked in a previous episode about how joining the Army was not on my list of things to do. it, I joined the Army, I enlisted in the Army as a way of escape. I recognized that the lifestyle that I was living was not for me, and I needed to make a dramatic change, and I did. And I joined the military. And today, looking back on that decision and everything that I experienced 20 some odd years ago, I can see so clearly now that it was all designed, it was all ordained and preparation for the woman that I am now. I do not believe I would be able to do this work and show up in the way that I show up in this world had I not had my military experience. So early on in my career, and it feels weird even calling it a career, but early on in my career, I was in a training environment, and I want to tell you, you all are going to be surprised to hear this, but I was never okay. So I am an introvert, that is true, but I recognize that back then I was hiding. I was hiding. I wanted to blend in. I wanted to look like everybody else and to fade into the wallpaper. And at one particular duty station, early in my career, just out of basic training, I had a drill sergeant who called me out of the crowd and I'm going to say pushed me into a position that put me in the front of my peers. And I I was extremely uncomfortable. Her name was Drill Sergeant Felicia Ortiz. She was a Black woman about my height. She was short, but she had this huge personality. She definitely was the type of woman who changed the temperature in any room that she walked in. And the fact that she was a drill sergeant, and if you're familiar with drill sergeants in the Army or in any military service, they wear the big brown round hats. So that was her. And one day she just called me into her office and she said, "James, you're going to be my platoon guide." And I was like, "Excuse me, drill sergeant, you want me to do what?" "Yeah, you're going to be the platoon guide." And the platoon guide meant that every morning, for every formation, I had to be in the front of the platoon. In the platoon, we had maybe about 50 soldiers, so about 50 of my peers. I had to be in the front. I had to deliver the messages from the drill sergeants. I had to give briefings every day. And when she said that to me, I freaked out because I already knew that being in the front was not what I wanted to do. That was the last thing that I wanted to do. But being in that position as a junior soldier and her being my superior, I could not say no. But that didn't mean that I didn't give a little pushback. I did. But she made it clear that her decision was final and that I needed to move smartly out of her office and go start being a platoon guide. And that night, the night before I was supposed to be in front of a platoon for the very first time, I absolutely could not sleep. My stomach was hurting. I was nauseous. I was just incredibly uncomfortable because I didn't feel equipped to be in that role. I felt like it was too big for me. I felt like it was going to swallow me whole. And we get up that morning and go to PT, and I was still freaking out and mentioned it to my roommate, and they were like, "Well, I mean, you can't get out of it, so you just have to do it." And I was like, "Okay, fine, whatever." But I really channeled who I thought, or I channeled the type of platoon guide that I wanted to be. So in that instance, as I'm walking down the stairs, down to formation to put myself in front of my peers and call them to attention, I had to think about what the powerful, strong, confident, sure of herself platoon guide would look like. And I decided that who was what I was going to be. That was who I was going to show up in front of my peers and be. And in that moment, I had made a decision to borrow confidence. I was borrowing from the identity that I had in my mind of what the confident leader would look like. And that's what I did. And I'm here to tell you that just because I borrowed it, that doesn't mean it was easy. I got up there and I called everybody to attention using the biggest voice that I had. Looking back on it now, the Army really did help me find my command voice. But back then I didn't know that that was in me. So I called them to attention and my voice cracked. And when it was time to salute the flag and I had to stand in front of there and salute, my hands shook. I mean, it was extremely uncomfortable. And my voice cracked for weeks and my hands shook for weeks. And I even remember a few guys in a platoon like making jokes about it, because when I say my hands would shake during my salute, it was visible. My hands were shaking. I was so nervous and so afraid to be in that position. But I had to keep reminding myself that this woman who looked like me, saw something in me that in the moment, even though I didn't see it in myself, I trusted her judgment. I trusted her leadership. So I had to believe that the person that she saw in me was indeed there. And I had to show up until I became comfortable with who that person was. So I did borrow, and I borrowed and borrowed and borrowed until the confidence started to feel like mine, until the confidence started to grow. It's almost like the seed was there, and every morning and every afternoon that I had to show up and borrow, I was watering that seed. I was feeding that seed until it grew and allowed me to become that person. And I know for a fact that it was that experience, that first initial experience of being in a leadership role, that allowed me to be able to see myself differently. And every opportunity that I've had since then, I have reminded myself of what I had to go through in order to get to the other side, in order to find that comfort and that peace with that confidence. So what I want to leave you with today, ladies, is that even though you can't buy confidence, you can borrow it. So the next time you find yourself at a place where you feel like you're stepping into something that is too big for you, imagine what the woman who is confident and fully comfortable with herself would do, and borrow it from her. Okay. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of this episode. I hope you are feeling inspired and ready to take the next step toward your masterpiece life. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you left a rating or review in your podcast player. It helps more women like you find the show. And if you're ready for deeper conversations and support, come join us in the Glow Circle membership community. Your first 7 days are free, and we would love to have you. Thank you for being a part of this amazing community. Until next time, keep glowing. Later.